Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar on Infernodus. My name is Dimitri. I'm the developer of the tool. We'll just wait a few more seconds or maybe a minute for the others to join in. In the meanwhile, I want to remind you that, as always, we have a question and answer section available here in Zoom, and you can ask your questions there as we go along, and I will try to answer them as we continue. And also there is a chat as well. So if you would like to use the chat instead, please feel free to do so. Just take a few seconds to wait for the others to arrive. So once again, thank you for joining in. In the meanwhile, I would like to ask you to answer to the questions on the poll that we have today. So I'm just going to launch it now. This webinar is going to be about sentiment analysis. So I wanted to ask you which sources you would be interested in. Right now, I will be demonstrating the new Amazon import app. Maybe you can also let me know what other sources you like to have to import and to process your data, just to know what your needs are at the moment. Okay, thank you. I'm going to share the results of the poll so you can also see. And I'm going to share my screen now so that we can begin with the webinar. Also, what I would be really curious to ask you is if you can write in the chat what sources you would like to have. So for example, today we will be focusing on using Amazon for analyzing customer sentiment, but maybe you know other websites or other sources that you like to use. Please write your ideas in the chat so that if there is a few people who want the same thing, we can implement it as well. Just going to switch back here. Okay. Okay, so Bin is saying any social network with an API. If you also have any other requests, Google reviews, yes, this is something that we want to implement pretty soon. Goodreads data is a great idea, actually. Write some feedback on the books. I've been trying to do this also with Amazon, but I guess Goodreads has more quality content if you want to know more about books. So this is a great idea. Thank you. And hi, Dirk. Hello back. Flipboard. That would be interested to see what kind of data you would have. I mean, just to import your own feed and to see what's happening in the feed, right, Joachim? So I'm just reading the comments from the chat section to see what people are interested in. All right, so Google data will be there, and email from support mailbox. Yes, so we were thinking to do an integration with something like Zendesk, but when we've been trying it out, it's actually not so much insight that you can get. But this could also be an interesting feature, just to be able to connect an email. All right, so let's go on with the webinar. And as I said, today is going to be about sentiment analysis and the new features that we have in Infranodus. So now when you log in, I think you should all see my screen now. If you don't, write something in the chat. You have this new import app, Amazon import app. And what this allows you to do is that you can choose any product on Amazon. Like for instance, here it's a book that I like, by the way, highly recommended, Satin Island by Tom McCarthy. And you have the reviews of a product. And if there are hundreds of them, you don't want to read through all of them maybe. So this tool allows you to understand what the people are writing about. By the way, the funny thing is that Amazon already has this feature, but they just give you very scarce information without any context. I mean, of course, I know that these reviews are going to be about Satin Island and Tom McCarthy and anthropologists, but you kind of don't really understand how they relate to each other. So this can be really interesting if you want to know more about the product, or if you work in a company and let's say you want to understand how a certain product works. Like you can go on Amazon and maybe study MacBook M1, for instance. Or if it's your own company, it could be a product that you're working on. So you could also study the product that your company is making, or maybe the products of your competition. And I'm going to show some interesting tricks how you could do that. So first of all, when we import the data, we just go to the Amazon app and choose a product. In this case, I'm going to choose this book. And, or maybe let's say I choose this screen because maybe this is something more expensive, so it's going to be more exciting to analyze it. Then we just put the link of the product here. We could also choose the ASAN number, which is here, and put it here if we wanted to. This you can choose, or you don't have to choose. You can just keep it where it is. So we're analyzing the American Amazon site. And depending on the level of your account, you can analyze 100 reviews, up to 1,000 reviews at once. So I'm going to choose 1,000. And here you have an interesting option that you can choose to categorize reviews by the star rating or by positive negative. If you choose positive negative, it's going to tag all the 5 and 4-star reviews as positive and 3 to 1-star reviews as negative. So this is up to you. I actually like to do positive negative because it's just faster to process this information like this. Then what happens next is that Infranodus, as it usually does, it gets all the reviews for this product here. And every word is a node. So hardly, screen, reflections, and so on is a word. And every co-occurrence of words is a connection between them. Then once you have this information, you can build a graph which shows you which words tend to occur together. And then you can apply network analysis algorithms to enable you to see what are the patterns that recur in many of those different texts. What are the main topics inside? What are the keywords? And so on and so on. So as it's taking a lot of your reviews, it's going to take some time. you have to be a little bit patient with it. This is not our fault. It's because Amazon takes time to respond to all these queries, because basically if you want to get so many reviews, you have to load like 100 pages or something. So here we have all the results, and what you should also be aware of is that as it's many results, it's going to do it in a few iterations. So usually you have to wait for a few minutes until you receive an email that says that it's ready. So by the time you're ready, you will have a graph like that. And I'm just going to show you some tricks of how you can analyze this information. So first of all, what I like to do first is to remove the words that seem obvious in the graph. So for instance, monitor, I know it's about the monitor, so I'm going to remove that. And also maybe screen as well, because it's a screen. So I'm going to remove that. And then I start looking at the patterns that the words make. So first of all, we have the analytics panel here, where it says that all the reviews are talking about laptop USB power. So this is a topic that seems to be recurrent. So I know that there is something about the USB power and laptop connection. Both negative and positive reviews talk about that. Then many people say that it also has great quality and that it's portable, this screen. Okay, that's great. Also, it works for work and travel. So this is great. And also some people say that the stand is light and thin. So they like the stand of this product. Now, I could also get deeper into each of those topics. So for example, I could click either on this little square to select these 3 words at the same time to see in which context they appear. And there it's going to select for me only the reviews that contain those 3 keywords. It shows me here that it's 26 out of 200 reviews. So around 13% of them. And here I see that some people are writing that no external power needed, that it works from laptop power. So I understand that people are pretty happy that my laptop provided sufficient power via USB. So I understand that, okay, this is a good selling point for this product. And if I were to buy this product, then I would be really interested in that. If it's my own product, I know that people are happy about this particular aspect, which is good. Then I can also click on the next ones, great portable quality, see in which reviews these words appear, and so on. So this would be one procedure. Then I'm going to demonstrate one really nice feature that we just implemented, which allows you to compare positive and negative reviews. I'm going to show you how it works. So here at the top left menu, when you have posts which are tagged, so here we have positive reviews and negative reviews. As you remember, I said that positive reviews are the ones that had 3 to 5 stars, and negative reviews are the ones that had actually negative ones are the ones that had 3 to 1 stars, and the positive ones are 4 and 5 stars. Okay, so then we just tag them as positive and negative. By the way, when you add information into Infranodus, you can also choose your own tags, and then the filters will appear here as well. So what this allows us to do is that you can select now only the positive or only the negative reviews and see how the graph is different for them. For instance, let's look at the positive reviews only. We click on positive reviews. We see that the picture is not so different. In fact, 98% of reviews are positive. So it looks like it's a great product. At the same time, if we choose negative reviews, we will see that the picture changes. Only 2%, but the few people who talk negatively about this product, they actually mentioned the stand. So some people say that the stand actually didn't work for them and that this might be a problem. They also talked about laptop and work. So let's see. So somebody couldn't make it work with their laptop. Okay, so there is some connectivity problem as well. So this is great because I see very quickly what the negative sentiment is about, and I can understand what the problems of this product are. And if I'm buying this product and the stand is really important for me, this will give me direct information that maybe I should look for something else. If I'm producing this product, I know that this is something we have to work on and improve as well. So for example, this is directly addressable, just provide some better guides for connecting the laptop to the screen, for instance, and really help people understand how it works, and so on. So this is how it would be. Another interesting thing is that you can compare the negative and positive reviews by using this button, which is usually made for comparing different contexts together, or different graphs together. And here you see we have one that shows the intersection and one that shows the differences. So if I click on the one that shows the differences, I can say, okay, I'm on the negative reviews, show me, and here it explains how it's going to work. Show me what's present in the current category, so what's present in the negative reviews that is not present in the category that I'm going to choose now. So basically what that's going to do is that it's going to show us what people who are talking negatively about this product are saying that the people who are talking positively are not saying. And we see nothing. In fact, everything that they say negatively, they also say positively, and so on. So it just means that there is not so much stuff that are very specific to the negative reviews of this product. At the same time, now I just did in reverse. So I left only positive reviews selected. Then this button is still on. And then I click negative reviews. And I see what the people who are talking positively are saying that the negative ones are not saying. And as we can see, they're talking about gaming. So the people who like the product, they use it for gaming, they use it for MacBook. So for example, I know that the connectivity problem is not for MacBook Pro. If I have a MacBook, then I'm good. So you see, it allows you to see this specificity through comparing the graphs together. I will just go to the questions now and see if there is anything that you would like me to explain a little bit more about this. So for example, someone is asking if we're putting an offline version for later viewing. Yes, it's actually being streamed live on YouTube. And once it's over, I'm going to send you a link so you can get access to that. And then from Peter, there's a message: how does your network approach compare to word embeddings or topic modeling? Are these comparable approaches? They're comparable, but our approach is based on allowing us to get additional insight from network analysis. So what word embeddings or topic modeling can do when they work with co-occurrence, like we do, is that they explain to you which words tend to occur together. So they might identify similar topics. In fact, we have a LDA tab here that is latent directed allocation, which is kind of doing that thing. It looks into which words occur together. By the way, it's also much slower. You can see it takes time to load. But what it doesn't do is when you use this approach to understand a certain discourse, it's not going to allow you to use the tools from network analysis to analyze the discourse. So for example, here we can detect topical groups based on community detection algorithms that are not available in all these other methods. We can also look at the Insight tab and reveal the structural gaps of which two groups of nodes could be connected but are not. And this is where the new ideas are generated. So then you can use this AI tool at the bottom to generate research questions that relate to the gap between those topics. And for instance, this is really like allowing you to look deeper into the structure of the text and to see what's missing from the discourse, get a little bit deeper into the contextual connections inside, and really touch the text, because you're working with the graph, so you can really have a tangible experience of the text you're working with. For instance, if you have a huge corpus of documents, maybe if you just want to know the topics, then the traditional approach can work for you. But if you're a writer, if you need to make a kind of more in-depth research, this approach here with the networks will actually allow you to have a much better grasp of all the different perspectives inside, and also have a multiple different point of views on the text itself. Then let's say the questions from the chat. So can we filter for analysis by specific star rating? Yes, we can do that as well. So I'm going to show you an example. By the way, if you have a product that you would like to analyze on Amazon, just send me the name into the chat and we can do it as well. I'm going to show you now how we can do the star rating filter. So for instance, here is this book that I was talking about. And let's actually do the same product. Why not? So that we can compare. Okay, so I just copy and paste the link here. I'll do now, like, let's say 100 most recent reviews. And here I have to choose star rating. So I say that I want to categorize reviews by the star rating. Click import. And then it's going to take a moment to import the data. In the meanwhile, I'm going to send you a link to the live stream so that you can watch it after or share it with others. It's going to be in the chat. I sent it to you now. If you have any questions, I will also send you our support portal link so you can ask your questions there. And in the meanwhile, we're coming back to the import, which is taking a moment. And here we have the ratings filtered by stars. So when you go here, you will see that actually, it was the first 100 reviews. They only had 5, 4, and 3 stars. Actually, people like this book, so they don't write really bad reviews, I guess. But here you can have this thing, you look at the 5 stars. This is what they're talking about. Actually, it's not the book, it's the screen. I remember. 4 stars, they're talking about how great this monitor is and the quality and so on. 3 stars, not so good. Let's see. There's something about the stand again. Also something about the protector of the screen, which is not working well. So as you can see, this kind of more refined categorization allows you to study the sentiment a little bit more precisely. So you might also choose that. The problem with this approach is that it's a bit harder to compare positive and negative ones. So for instance, I can only choose to compare this category to another category. I cannot say compare 3 stars to 4 and 5 stars. So this is why the default option is the positive negative one. Okay, Peter is saying he would like to see what you can do for a book review. So let's do the book review. Here I have this book. Import the data. I will show you how you can do with the ASAI number. So I just selected either from the link, or I can also search the page for the ASIN, and you have it in the product details here. So you don't have to use the link. You can choose this number, copy and paste it here, choose 500 reviews, name the context like you want. By the way, if you have an existing context, you can also import it into the existing one. So you can also create a graph that has multiple reviews of multiple products. It can be interesting if you study your own company or your competition. So we wait a little bit, and in the meanwhile, I'm going to answer the question from Frank, who's asking, can we infer that the size of the node is associated with the topics that drive the star rating most? Yes, the size of the node is based on the measure of influence of this node in the network. And the measure of influence of the node, actually, it's explained on our front page here, how the approach works. The bigger is the node, the more between centrality it has. And it just means that it connects different topics together. So if, let's say, you're filtering the star rating and, you have, let's say, a node which is bigger, it means that in the context of the reviews with that star rating, this node, this word is definitely more important because it connects different topics together. So it just means that the people who are talking about this particular product, who gave it 4 stars or 2 stars, they use this word a lot to connect different topics together. So it's not, by the way, the most frequently used word. Rather, It's a word that connects different topics together. We like to actually call those words the crossroads of meaning. So that means that they appear most often between different kinds of reviews. Like these are the words that connect different reviews together. If you make an analogy with social networks, these are the people who know the most diverse groups in a network. So we kind of use the same approach here. So here we have the visualization of the book. It shows 82. I think the book has more reviews. Maybe if we reload, yeah, now we have all the reviews loaded. I know it's around 170 for this book here. And once again, so we have this book, Staten Island by Tom McCarthy. Let's remove the word book so it doesn't appear in the graph. I selected, click the delete button on the right, and then I can see directly that, okay, so there is one topic where people talk about, how they read it many times and what they thought about the book, okay, and how it's also about our current times. So you see a lot of people say that the zeitgeist of our times, and also how it can be boring at times, and how it's about time as well. Here there was something about time. So we see that it's about our times. Then we see that people are saying a lot that the writing style of the author is great. We also see that this book is about an anthropologist working on something. And then we also see the name of the author. So actually, let's look deeper into this. And that people talk about the plot of the book and kind of referring to the author, how he's writing about it. So once you had this perspective, then you can also select the name of the author. Let's say you're not interested in that, delete it from the graph. You see it recalculates the community structure. And now we have still the same topics as we had, but the new ones appear a bit more specific, I would say. You can also click here, see more. So for example, there's a lot of people writing about the plot and the character, modern fiction, contemporary culture. So let's see here. They're saying that the book is about contemporary culture. It's talking about the culture at the moment. Then we have also how life is pointless and meaningless and so on. And then what we can do is to be like, okay, let's look at the negative reviews only. And let's look at the positive ones. Compare. So what I like to do is to actually look into the analytics panel here and to switch in between those two sections just to see what changes. So for example, I see that in the positive reviews, people are talking, they're actually saying the same things as we had in the overview of the graph. Half of the reviews are positive, but half of the reviews are actually negative, and they're talking more about the plot and the writing style. So we understand that the people who don't like the book, they might have a problem with the way that the narrative is made, with the writing style of the author, with the plot, with understanding the book, read, time, understand. So it's like maybe it was also not so easy for them to understand what it's about. Boring also we see here. So this book is maybe not so easy to read, and we understand that. So this is just like a nice overview of what people think about the book. I think if we had something like Goodreads where people would be maybe more talking about the actual content of the book and not whether they like it or not, this would give us kind of more in-depth look into what the book is about as well. This is why I was asking you to also let me know if you can think of any other sources of information that could be interesting for you for this kind of analysis, anywhere where we can have people sharing their opinion on something. Reviews is the first thing that comes to mind. There are also maybe YouTube comments, for instance. There are also app reviews on App Store or Google Play. Maybe you think of something else that you would be interested in. Please let me know. Another thing that you can also do is, for instance, let's say we have a portable screen here, I don't actually know if I should go back into screens or I should stay with the books. Let's do the books. It's more interesting. Another great book by the same author is Remainder. Highly recommended. I will show you now how you can compare two books using the same approach. So here I have the book Remainder. I will now import it through the Amazon app again and demonstrate to you how you can compare different graphs together, which, by the way, is very useful not only for when you're studying specific products, but also when you have two different texts, or even if you're writing something, you might want to compare what you've been writing to the discourse that already exists on the topic. So really, this approach can be used in many different contexts. So again, I'm going to import these books reviews into Infranodus and then show you how you can compare both together. Peter is asking if it works in other languages. Yes, actually, by default, your setting is automatic. And you could go on Amazon DE or FR, and usually they have reviews in English and French and German, and actually it builds you a graph with all those languages. Or if you have your own data in a specific language, yes, you can choose to, have that language. I think right now the best processing algorithms that we have are for English, French, German, Russian. These work really well. There is also Spanish and Portuguese, but the processing algorithm cuts the words. Also, you still get a very good picture of the meaning. It also has Dutch, Swedish, and Italian as well. And we're working on adding Chinese and Japanese. Hopefully in about a month it's there. So yeah, you could use it with many different languages. Another question, to use Google Map reviews. Yes, definitely something we want to integrate very soon, because then you can also, if you're searching for a place to stay or a site that you would like to see, this would be really interesting as well. And also, if you're an owner of this business, if you want to analyze what the customers are thinking about, this is also really useful. And we will be building in live updates as well. So you would basically visualize the graph and then be able to update it live. So you would always have the up-to-date picture of what's going on. Travel site reviews, TripAdvisor. Yes, this is also a really good idea. We're gonna see if we can get those reviews in, because sometimes companies close access to that. So it's not easy to get to this sort of information. By the way, we're also building in Google Scholar soon. So if you like to get information about research papers, then this would be something that you can do. And now I'm going to show you how you can compare different contexts together. So here we have the book by this author, Tom McCarthy, that is called The Remainder. And let's say we want to compare it to this other book that he wrote called Satin Island. So what you can do here, you have these 3 buttons here actually that allow you to put several contexts or graphs together. This one would show you the intersection between them. So you would see what's common between those two. I will show you how it works. So you select this one first, then you go into the menu and then select the graph that you want to compare it to. In this case, it's going to be Satin Island. So I click on that. It loads both graphs, but it's going to highlight the intersection between them. And as you can see, they're actually quite similar. So people are almost using the same words as when they talk about Satin Island, and like they use the same words when they talk about the other book as well. So let's delete some words to see what will pop up behind them. So let's get rid of the book and read. This is always useful to do. Also, let's remove the name of the author, because it will obviously be there. And then we see, okay, so if we look at the both books, we see that people use the word time and world a lot. So it's the time that we live in, also the world that we live in. They like the story. They think it's a great story. You see it's highlighted with the same color. It means it belongs to the same topic. And we see that anthropologist is only present in one of the books, not in the other. So that was the specific part that belongs to the Staten Island book, but not to the remainder. And then we have many other interesting stuff as well. Booker Prize, for instance, was, in not in one of them. Okay, so then another way how you can do is if I come back to the book remainder and I want to see the differences, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this button here. So it's just below that. And that's going to show me, it says here, what's present in the current graph that's not present in the other one. So what people are talking about when they talk about the book called Remainder, that they don't say when they talk about Staten Island. So I click that, visualize, this is green, so it means it's activated. And now it's showing me the differences. And you can see here, automatically it goes into the menu that shows in Remainder, but not in Staten Island. And we see that, okay, so in Remainder, there's something about traumatic accident. So this is the specific part of the content of the book, which is present in Remainder, that is not present in Staten Island. Also the word enactment and enacting scene. So this kind of gives you a very clear idea that people are talking about the specificity of the plot of the book. Actually, what they think about the book is not so much different in this case. But when they write a review about this other book, they talk about the plot and what it's talking about. And you also can really clearly see like this. That's actually a very good way. You subtract one graph from another and you see the specific part that only relates to the content, to the plot of the book. And this is also like a nice trick to see what the book is about, actually. You can even click on those words and see, what people are writing about. And here someone is basically telling us the plot of the book. I hope no spoilers as well. What you can also do is to reverse this comparison. So you click this graph here. It actually appears when you compare two graphs together. And when you do that, it will make the reversal. So it's going to show you in the opposite what's present in Staten Island that is not present in Remainder. And here we see that it's about anthropologist working in a company writing something. Staten Island, that's the name of the other book, and so on. So you really quickly see how the books are different. And of course, you can always click on all the statements. And as you can see, then in the blue are highlighted the stuff that are only present in Staten Island, but not in Remainder. And you can use this menu to filter and see only the stuff that belong to the book Remainder, only the stuff that belong to Staten Island, and now show us only what's in the Staten Island, but not in Remainder. So this is how you would also compare to different contexts together. And this is a really great tool. One other use case that can be really interesting is if you have a company that communicates something about itself and you want to compare it with the market. This is a really great feature to do, because then you can see what the company is saying that the market is not saying, what the market is saying that the company is not saying about itself. So this can be a really interesting view as well. I will show you later another app that we have in Infranodus that does that. Now I'm going to answer some questions as well. Can I choose Scholar as search engine? So this is something we're working on implementing, because Scholar doesn't give you access to its information. It's forbidden. So we're trying to find a way to get it anyway in a legal way. Can I choose an BERT rather than LDA? Yeah, like you can actually, you will be able to do that soon, because we want to implement more models here under this tab. So you will basically be able to use it for comparison, and we'll connect it through an API and allow you to choose the model you want to use for topic modeling. I'm sure you will see that the one based on graph analysis works the best of all, but it's also nice to have different options, because in the end, this tool is not about giving you one ultimate solution, but rather, allowing you to get different perspectives on texts. And if you can have all those different tools to do that, this is great. Can I change the number of n-grams? Is 4 only solution? You can do 2, so you can select in the settings here to only process the words that are next to each other. So right now it does n-grams. It chooses groups of words of 4, but you can also, I think here in the text processing field, yeah, you can choose bigrams or the words that are next to each other. We found through experiments that this produces consistently good results. However, in the script itself, it's possible to do 5 grams, 6 grams, and so on. It just gets much heavier. And 3 grams is not enough. So this is something that we might implement in the future. But for now, these are the 2 options you have. So you can use one of them or the other. Just going to log in again. Okay. Any more questions anyone has? Feel free to write them into the chat. In the meanwhile, I'm going to show you one last thing. And this is how you can analyze. So it's basically a graph comparison as well, but now it's comparing what people are looking for and what they actually find. Some of you might already know this application. It's here. It comes from search engine optimization. So basically, these 2 are the same things. But if you don't know what search engine optimization is, just use this one because it's easier to understand. And let's choose a topic that you're interested in. So if someone can write some proposition of a topic that you would like to explore, I would type it in. And Bruno is saying, in importing CSV, how can I automate tagging? Yeah, you can do that. Maybe I just open a spreadsheet and show you how it works. Start a new one. Here, so basically you would have a spreadsheet and you would say like, okay, review, rating, and then origin, or let's say location of the customer. And the customer says here, this product is really bad, I hate it. They put the rating 1, or let's say 1 star, and the location they're from, I don't know which country shall we put. Let's put Russia, where I come from. Then someone says, this product is amazing, I really like it. They put 5 stars, and they're from USA. They're very positive. And someone says, this product is a bit strange. I find it could have been made in better quality. So they give them 3 stars, and they come from Germany, for instance. So you have this file, and then you download it as a CSV here. And basically, this column will be served as the column that you will analyze for text analysis, and this you will set as the categories for tagging. And you can do as many as you like. So you also can have a few. And then I will show you how you can import it. By the way, I just want to see if someone wrote some search query, but okay, let's continue with the CSV example. So then we use the CSV import app, and then we download this CSV here. Okay, here we have the file preview, and we can select the columns that we want to import. So here we say review. I just click on review, and this is the text that we will analyze. It's also selected here in the columns to import. It's just confirmed that you will be analyzing the column called review. Then you choose in the section 4 the columns for categorizing your data. So you say, I want to use rating and I want to use the location. And it's going to be saved into this graph. You can also, by the way, choose a column for a timestamp if you want to see how it evolved over time. But here we didn't have any timestamp in this format, so we just skip that. Click process, it's going to upload the file, visualize the reviews. And as you see, both the countries and the stars are the categories now. So if I want to see what the people in Russia say only, I then click on Russia. I see only what the Russians said, what the Americans said, what the Germans said. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to integrate this tagging structure into your text. You can also use tags when you're creating text from scratch here. So for instance, sometimes I use this tool as a kind of journal, and I will write the things that I have to do tomorrow. So for example, tomorrow I have to do some Christmas shopping, and I can tag this as a to-do. Save this, but maybe, and you see this tag is here, and also now it's here, and I can filter it by this tag. Or I can say that, maybe I have to look into reading a new book on public health. And this is something that I can tag as ideas. Okay, save into the graph. And as you can see, I have to do and I have ideas, and they're both different, and it filters information like that. So you can do it manually, you can do it using CSV, or just by importing information from different sources. Joachim says, I would love to use this tool for comparing behaviors in real life and in the metaverse. Great. If you can have text that would describe somehow what's going on in the metaverse and at the same time what's going on in real life. I don't know actually what sources you would use. If you have an idea on that, I would be really curious to hear what would be the data sources. So maybe you can write this also in the chat if you have an idea. I will show you now one last thing that demonstrates how you can compare these different contexts together. So for example, let's actually use the word metaverse here. And I'm going to explain to you what this tool is. So basically this niche finder, it does this clever trick that people in search engine optimization do. They have to have strategies that allow them to come up with some interesting niches that they can fulfill with the content that they create, so that when you search on Google, you find their search results and drive traffic to their websites. And what this tool does is it analyzes, it actually takes two graphs. One graph is of the current informational supply. So I typed in the search term metaverse, and this graph are the Google results for metaverse. I think top 40 Google search results. No one usually gets past that anyway, so we would keep it at 44 pages. So this is the stuff that people see when they look for metaverse. By the way, as you can see, automatically the word metaverse is removed, because if it were inside, then it would just take all the attention. So we remove the word to see what is the context of this word. Okay, we see that people are talking a lot about virtual reality just by looking at the graph. Words are the same color next to each other. They're quite big, so they're quite relevant in this discourse. And also Facebook managed to get in, obviously, because they want to create metaverse now. So here we have an overview of the search results for this topic. So this is kind of like what exists out there on this subject. This is the informational supply. Then we look at the informational demand. And this is this really funny thing that you have on Google. If I go on Google and I type in metaverse, you see the suggestion that it gives. So this is exactly the stuff that this other graph is visualizing, but it takes not only the top 10, but I think it also takes around 40 or 80 of these different options. So this is what people search for when they search for metaverse. And this graph we call informational demand, because this is what people look for when they search for metaverse. And we see that, for example, NFT is something that comes up there. They search for metaverse NFT, so like how to get the metaverse stuff on NFT, buy them, sell them, and so on. Stock price also of Facebook in relation to that announcement. Snow Crash TV series. Okay, so some TV series even on the topic. But the most interesting part is the difference between the informational supply and demand. So what people search for but don't find. So we subtract these two graphs, how I showed you previously. It's just doing the same thing automatically. And it shows you what people search for but don't yet find. And in this case, we see that people search for NFT, buying NFT, how to buy metaverse NFT, but they don't find this stuff. So if we were to create content that would be related to metaverse, we would know that if we target NFTs and buying metaverse and NFT, we would get at the top of Google search results because we would actually provide something that people search for when they search for metaverse, but that they don't immediately see when they search for it. So this can be a really great way to understand also product market fit, or if you're working on a research or a new piece of content, this can be really used to understand better what people actually need. All right, so I think if you don't have any more questions, we can stop here. Thank you very much for being with me today and for taking part in this webinar. If you have any questions, I will stay online for a couple of minutes to see if I can answer them. I could use the text of Snow Crash to search for all the information about pieces. Yeah, maybe you could actually. I should research more what that means, in fact. I don't know what this specifically is about. And yes, thank you all for joining in, and I hope that you find it useful. Let me know if you have any feedback about using this tool. Have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. I also want to say that we are currently updating the backend of Infranodus, so soon it's going to be able to process much larger texts and whole books, actually. So I hope that in about a month, maybe 1 month and a half, I'm always too optimistic, we will have the new version up and running. Of course, you will all be upgraded to it as well. And then you will just be able to put any sort of information, like a whole book, and see what it's about, compare books together, and so on. And yeah, I'm very excited about this development because it will make the tool much more stable. And then after this, we'll focus on the front end and on the usability as well. So just some announcement for how it's going to work. Answer the public, Frank. I don't know what answer the public is. I'm going to write it down and make a research on that. Thank you for the link. But yeah, if you feel a need for any integrations, please write to us and suggest what sources you would like to have, because some of them are pretty easy to implement, especially if they have an API. Sometimes it's a bit more difficult, and we would need a bit more demand from our users. But basically, yeah, we're very excited to integrate more import features because it's really interesting to study content this way, and you know, even to kind of do it for your own good, or if you work for a company, to also use it to analyze the products of the company as well. And thank you all for this. Also, Chanel was asking if there is a way to connect Infranodus to Shopify store to dynamically see sentiment. Yes, this is something that could be possibly done if the shop reviews are running on a platform that allows access to it. But also, if you have a Shopify store, if you can export the reviews, for example, you can import them as a CSV file, like I showed you earlier. You know, just putting all the reviews in a table, then adding a few columns for categories, sentiment. You can also run an external sentiment analysis tool with a tool like Monkey Learn, for instance, is really good for that. I think it's also free for if you have like a few hundred records, and then you just get all this data into a CSV file and import it in Infranodus, and you will have this thing. So this would be like a way to do it now if we don't have the integration. And thank you all once again for taking part in this webinar. I wish you happy holidays, and yeah, we hear and see each other next year. And hopefully also, if you need any information, let me know. We're always there to help and to support. Thank you, and have a great time.